Welcome to episode number 2 with Jules Galloway. Hi and welcome to Sister Mixon's Whole Circle podcast, where we talk about all the good things in life like health, wellness, fitness and food, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So join your hosts Tracy and Joanne. Jules is an amazing woman, naturopath, entrepreneur, recipe book creator, and someone who wants to live life to the fullest. But it hasn't always been an easy path to health. Realising that life of takeaway food and late night partying were not doing her any favours, she took some drastic action to turn things around. We came across Jules after reading her blog post called Happiness Despite No Thigh Gap, and we loved it. So we are super excited to have her here today to talk all things happiness, weight and body issues. Welcome to the show, Jules Galloway. Yay, thanks for being here, Jules.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we want to start the show with your philosophy about weight and why no thigh gap has really struck a chord with us. So can you tell us a little bit about that blog post?
First of all, when I was thinking about writing that blog post, I was just thinking of writing it as a quick Facebook post, and I had no idea it was going to go gangbusters like that. I felt a little tingle on the beach, and I had a tiny little bit of an inkling, but then I thought, oh no, we'll just post it and maybe like 10 people will like it. And it went completely nuts. And I realized that, in this wellness world at the moment where everyone's showing off their six packs and their bums and their thigh gaps and everything, there's another crew that is sick of that or doesn't want to see that or finds that to be well outside what they even want to achieve or could achieve. And I posted a photo of me looking just like me, no Photoshop, no posing. And I was really astonished and overwhelmed with the amount of support that it got. I think that for starters, to backtrack a little bit, I'd been planning on taking a photo of myself at the beach for so long, because I surf a couple of times a week. I absolutely love surfing. And I wanted to show people who follow me on Facebook and on my blog what sorts of healthy activities I like to do that, that fill me up and that get me fit and make me happy. And I quite often go surfing with a friend of mine, Hayley Carr, who's a life coach, and she's also an entrepreneur. And I thought, I'd always said to her, hey, you're really good at taking photos. You understand what I want. One day when we're down at the beach, we're going to have to set up a shoot. I'll just, pose me correctly. We'll get a photo of me kind of walking into the surf, into the sunrise, and it'll be so beautiful. And we'll style it up and it'll be amazing. And Hayley was like, yeah, no worries. I'm all for that. But then every time we went surfing, we would forget to take the gear because we're so into the surfing that we didn't even think photo shoot. And then one day we had another friend with us and we were taking a few happy snaps before that girl went back to America. And these photos, just these happy snaps that Hayley took, she sent to me, and I was like, you couldn't style that. I look so happy. Even if we styled it all up to make me look skinny, I wouldn't look that happy.
You look so happy. I think that was what I loved about that post, was probably that photo, because you were so happy. You were radiant and glowing, and just in that moment you were so happy. And that was what I loved. I didn't even almost need to read the post. I was like, I want that. I want that happiness. That is awesome.
Yeah. But you know what? When I looked at that photo, what was the first thing you reckon I saw? The first thing.
Well, I'm going to say the thigh gap.
Yeah, it was the lack of. I looked and I went, oh, gee, I look happy. And then the next thing was my eyes went straight to my thighs and I went, oh, they're kind of touching. It's not really the angle that I wanted for this photo, in terms of literally the angle. If I turned a little bit to the left, maybe my thighs would look a bit thinner, or maybe we could crop them out somehow. And then I was like, hang on. This is what all women are feeling. This is what all women are thinking, especially I turned 40 very soon. This is the prime age where we go, I'm still fit, I'm still active, but I don't look the same
Yeah.
as I did when I was 21.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I have to be honest and I have to post this photo just as it is. And then I'm going to talk about why I almost didn't post that photo.
Yeah.
And
Because that's the thing, isn't it? You know, us as women, we're just so hard on ourselves, and it really, it shouldn't be that way. Like, you know, most of us and most of the people listening to this show have probably got kids, or we probably look ourselves up and down in the mirror a few times a day, and we wish we had smaller this or perkier that, or whatever. But the thing is, it's so hard to love yourself, and I'd love to talk to you about that and how you found happiness. And for those of our listeners that don't know what blog post and what photo we're talking about, it's a photo of Jules on the beach. She's just been surfing. She's got a sort of a head back and her hair's sort of blowing in the breeze in a way, and she just is smiling and got this beautiful smile on her face. And were you walking in that photo?
yeah, I was.
Or standing still? Yeah, and I think you can sort of tell that. But it's a great photo. So getting back to my question of, you know, how did you find happiness in that? Like, how you just went, stuff it, I actually am happy and I'm going to post this photo? Or
I think I just had to put it out there that I'm not perfect and I'm still happy the way I am, because I walk along that beach every day nearly in that gear, and I don't care if my thighs are wobbling when I walk past people. And so the only difference is this time I put it out on my Facebook page, and I've got 5,000 followers on Facebook. So potentially there's a few thousand people that might see that post. So I just, in my own mind, I just had to pretend that it's no different to the people I'm walking past on the beach. If I can walk past someone on the beach, then I can walk past a bunch of Facebook followers. In my mind, that's how I kind of structured it. And I just had to put aside anything that had ever sort of smashed my confidence in a way. Like, I've put out some Facebook posts before that, and some blog posts that have been a little bit controversial, and I've literally had hate mail in return. And one really stood out for me a little while back, where she actually attacked the way that I looked in an email to me. She called me fat. And
what?
And this is before the thigh gap photo, people, so I don't know which photo she looked at, but like I'm not usually one for putting the thighs and the bum out there on Facebook, but she'd seen a photo of me somewhere, called me fat, and basically said that because I'm a health and wellness professional, I need to look perfect, and that she wasn't going to follow me or buy my stuff anymore because she doesn't want to look like me. She actually thinks that basically I didn't look aspirational or fit enough for her, and so why would she buy my stuff and do my program? And
I
so
hope you were like,
things,
good
there are.
riddance.
I did not even reply. So, you have to, at some point, you have to put all that stuff aside and go, that person isn't the person that I want to help in the world. There's a bunch of other women out there that are going to feel, like they want to read stuff like this. They want to feel good about themselves. They might be a size 12. They might be a size 14. They might be fit and happy. And they also might want to walk down the beach in their little short wetsuit or their bathing suit and feel confident. And so, if I can put it out there, then, I was hoping that other women will go, you know what, stuff this. I'm going to do it too.
Yeah. I think sometimes that comes with age. Like, I'm over 40 and I still play netball and have to wear one of those little netball all-in-one dress things that are really short. And, I've got dimply bits and wobbly bits and whatever, but I'm fit. I'm over 40. I'm still playing club netball and I love it. And I love it. I love going every week. I love the training. I love playing. I love the ladies that I play with. And it makes me happy. So I don't care that I have to wear this little short skirt and run around the netball court, because it makes me happy. So it's exactly like that photo. Like, I think that's why I loved it so much, because I'm like, she rocks. She's rocking that photo, That's awesome.
Well, I
actually
also...
looked at... Sorry, you go.
Sorry. I also, I should mention that I used to play beach volleyball in Melbourne a long time ago. And I was a fair few kilos lighter back then, but I guess that helped in a way that I was used to, bits and pieces of my body out there in broad daylight where people could take photos and watch. And I think after I stopped playing beach volleyball, because I got injured and then I moved up here and there wasn't a scene up here for beach volleyball, and I had put on a few extra kilos, I guess that knocked my confidence a little bit as well. And so it's funny how you can look at things like that. I mean, with netball, I would say you must be really fit and your legs are probably really strong, yet we get to this point where we think that, it's not okay to be out there in a little skirt or a little volleyball outfit or a little wetsuit.
There's a couple of ladies on our team that are I'm going to say larger, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but one day one of them said to me, "Oh God, I hate wearing this dress." And I'm like, I won't say her name, but I said to her, "You are such a good defender. Like seriously, she's one of the best defenders. Don't worry what you look like. Like you're out here, you've got young kids, you're a role model. Don't worry about what you look like. I don't care. Like none of us care that you're not the thinnest or the tallest or the whatever, because you're still a darn good player, and that's all we want. Like we just want someone who's going to come out here, give it their best, play with us, have some fun, have some laughs. And we don't care if we win or lose either. Like we're not in it for sheep stations. And and that's what it's about. Like she doesn't, and after that she was like, "Oh, okay. No one else seems to care, so why should I?"
Yep. And sometimes the best defenders in netball are the ones who are a size or two larger, because they can just put it all on the line.
As a shooter, I hate them.
Jules, I've got a question. Do you think that we've just become too obsessed with the scales?
I think in a lot of cases we have, and the scales don't always reveal the truth about what's going on under your skin. Muscle can weigh heavier than fat. You don't know what if you go and do some boot camp or weight training or personal training, whatever, and you start putting on muscle, the scale reading can actually start to go up for a short time before it goes back down, because you're putting on the muscle, and then after a while you start to lose the fat. But sometimes people will go and start a new regime like that and go, "This is crap, it's not working, I'm actually putting on weight." And they stop. And it's like, no, you've got to keep going, because once you've got a larger muscle mass, it actually sends signals to your body to start shedding the fat. The more muscle you've got in that regard, the easier it becomes to lose the fat. And so just going on that number on the scales doesn't always tell you exactly what's happening. And so I often say to people, like, get out the jeans, get out the skinny jeans, or get out the tape measure. If you're looking to lose weight, they are sometimes better ways to gauge what's going on. And then overall, sometimes we have this goal weight in our heads that may or may not be attainable. So even just obsessing over goal weights is not always the healthiest thing. I always say to people that when you get to this age, once you get to sort of mid to late 30s onwards, then sometimes you're dealing with things like adrenal fatigue and higher cortisol levels, because maybe you've popped out a couple of kids, maybe you've worked yourself a little bit hard in certain jobs, maybe you're just really busy. If you've got higher cortisol levels, then that's going to change the way that you are able to lose weight as well. And so there's lots of different factors as you get older that are going to contribute. And I'll tell you what the worst thing is for high cortisol levels is stress. So if you're stressing about losing weight, all you're doing is driving up your cortisol. And once you drive up your cortisol, you're actually more likely to gain weight. So we need to remove that stress around the scales. And yes, I think they play a part. And I think it's, and in certain cases, people do have some weight they need to shed before they can be the healthiest version of themselves. And there's definitely a place with some people for scales. But I think, when you're in that sort of size 10 to size 14 range, I think scales can really, they can really do your head in rather than be of benefit.
Yeah.
Yes, I've always struggled with my weight, and it's been really, really heavy at some stage, and then I've been lighter at other stages. And I got to a point about 6 months ago, where I was seeing a naturopath and a health coach, and I was healthy. My diet was spot on, and I felt good in myself. I was exercising, and I would class myself as healthy, and but I could not stop weighing myself. I became so obsessed with the scales that I was weighing myself every morning and sometimes at night. And my naturopath, she said, can you please just throw the scales in your wheelie bin? I went, I can't do that. As if I can do that. No way am I doing that. Anyway, after a few weeks of her nagging, I got the scales and threw them in the wheelie bin. And I felt this sense of panic initially, but then after a few hours, I actually felt this sense of relief. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do the skinny jean thing. And when they're tight, it's like, right, I need to, work on something here. But when they feel good, they feel good.
Yep, absolutely. Those skinny jeans don't lie. They really don't.
No, they don't.
No, they do not.
Do you think
But I really...
Sorry.
I really want to add though that if you're trying to get back into your skinny jeans that are from 1998, throw them on the curb as well, please.
Yeah. Because let's face it, if they're from 1998, they're probably going to be ugly anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think social media plays a big part? Because I scroll through Instagram and there's post after picture of like totally, made up photos. Like they've got to be photoshopped. I'm sure they're not all real. And it's so much pressure. Like I'm raising 2 teenage daughters and they're active, they're fit, they're really healthy. And they're very rarely sick. They do a lot of dancing. One plays netball as well. They've got this busy social, this fairly busy social life as well. But I'm terrified of them getting caught up in this social media thing of girls have to look like this and so I'm constantly probably nagging them that you don't have to look like that. You can just look however you want. And I'm really lucky that they're both pretty good with that. But do you think social media is got something to answer for?
Absolutely. However, it's here to stay, and I don't think we can fight it. I think we need to work with it. The thing is that people are blaming the social media, and what you see in social media is only ever going to be a reflection of what our culture wants at the moment. So if we're blaming social media for all the girls that are, in those, selfies where they're lifting up their shirt and showing off their abs and showing, they probably haven't eaten for 3 days, but, and showing all of that, like we're blaming the social media, but actually it's just a reflection of, what the kids are doing right now. So I think that it's going to be a really long haul back from here. And it's, you need to talk to your daughters. You just need to talk to your daughters. You need to keep talking to them. We need to know the warning signs for if there are any eating disorders brimming, and that sort of stuff can bubble on under the surface. It's really no different to when you and I were growing up, I'm assuming in like the 80s and the 90s and, except all we had to compare ourselves to was like Dolly magazine and those sorts of things. But now there's so much more information out there and they're just overloaded with all these accounts and things. But at the end of the day, like I can't really see that much of a market for a bunch of 17 to 21-year-olds getting out there and going, oh, look at my bulge or look at this or look at that. Because let's face it, back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't want to see that in Dolly magazine either. We all pretend that we want to see this stuff, but in reality, it's not what people click on and it's not what people open the magazine to look at. So I really don't think that's changed. I think what's changed is just the absolute sensory onslaught and that constantly having to see it every time you open up your Instagram. But at the end of the day, as far as the pendulum has swung in that direction, it will swing back because it has to. There's really no further for it to go. And at some point, I think fitter and healthier will become more sought after and more attractive in certain circles. And you already see it happening. Like there's girls out there showing photos of their muscles and stuff. And I know that might not be ideal either, but at least we're not just seeing really, really, really waif thin girls. We're seeing, girls with muscles and girls with booty and all those sorts of things too. So there is some diversity happening out there. But at the end of the day, it comes back to that reality check that when you walk down the beach and look around, what percentage of people actually look like that? And you have to start working on your own confidence. You have to start working on your own happiness. And I can guarantee you that at the end of the day, boys will always think that someone's confidence is more attractive than, just exactly whether their thighs touch or not.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
Totally.
I last night I coached the netball team that my daughter's in, and I got them all to netball half an hour early. And I sat them all down and we had a really good talk about their mean girl in their head. And I absolutely love Melissa Ambrosini, and she discusses that. I'm not sure if you've come across it. And they all looked at me like I was totally
mastering your mean girl.
Yeah, mastering their mean girl, because I think it's really important. And whilst I'm not their mother or anything, I am their netball coach, so I still have this responsibility. And some of the girls were like, I can't play in that position, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that. So I had this talk with them, and at the end of the session, they actually smashed out their netball session, and they all trained so hard. And it is that voice in all our heads that we have to conquer sometimes, and that is exactly the same with being happy and being happy with who you are, which is why I loved that photo, because it just really stuck it to that mean girl in your head saying, I shouldn't post this photo, no one wants to see this, So that is it's so awesome that we can post photos like that, and everyone embraced it. I just loved it.
I think when we're also looking at social media all the time, we're seeing highlights reels from people's lives. We're seeing highlights packages. We're seeing styled photos. We might be seeing Photoshop photos for all we know. And so you start to get a feeling, or you get that perception that that's what everyone looks like out there. And that's why I say, you need to go for a walk along the beach and have a look at all the different body shapes and types. This is not reality. And I know recently I was in Brisbane for the Writers' Festival, and I saw Liz Gilbert on stage, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and oh my goodness, she's like the best person ever. And she was being interviewed by Mia Friedman, and Mia said something along the lines of, somehow they got on to talking about plastic surgery, and Mia said something along the lines of, everyone's getting XYZ done at the moment. And then Liz basically shut her down and said, well, no, they're not. And at that moment, I looked around the room at this Writers' Festival of, 1,000 beautiful women. They were all wearing lovely dresses and frocks. They were all sort of aged anywhere between sort of 20 and 50 years old, even outside of those ages. And there were some beautiful, gorgeous women in the crowd. But I didn't see a lot of people that looked like they'd had a lot of work done. And so Liz basically, I can't quote her exactly, but she basically went, they're not. It's not everyone's getting work done. Not everyone's got their boobs done. Not everyone's getting a facelift. And when I looked around the room, I realised that is the case. And so sometimes, when we're looking at the media and we're looking at everything online, I think we're getting that impression that we're like the only one who hasn't got that stuff done, or we're the only one who doesn't have a thigh gap. And it's like, hang on. Go for a walk down the beach. Have a good look around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. To put it into perspective.
Yeah.
I love that. That's such a good message.
Yeah. Do you... sorry, you go, Jo.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, do you think we are what we are? So, I mean, I've always been on the lighter side, and I was lucky, I've been lucky with genes, I suppose, but I have always been fairly fit and active and healthy as well. And, Jo's always been a little bit heavier, and right from the get-go, right from a young girl, she was always a heavier girl. And but I would say at times in our lives, she has been far healthier than me, even though technically I was thinner. Didn't mean I was I was healthier, because I can tell you I wasn't. And, yet Jo was technically possibly classed as overweight, but she was probably way more healthier. So do you think we just are what we are sometimes? Not all of us are going to be a stick thin size bloody 6 or 8 or something.
Absolutely. And I think in amongst that, though, there are people who can definitely change what they are because they may be a certain way because of their diet or, their lifestyle.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
yeah, but sometimes we really are what we are. Like, I'm never going to be rake thin.
Yeah.
But also, if I ate all the wrong foods, I would definitely start to become overweight. And so I needed to sit up and really look at what the healthiest version of myself would look like and then aim for that and not aim to be like someone else who was rake thin, who had a different body type, different body composition to me and different hormone composition to me. And I think as we get older, sometimes there are things that can definitely be tweaked. And as a naturopath, I would definitely say that there are people who can be tweaked. And sometimes if someone's been a little bit overweight all their lives, maybe they've also been eating sugar all their lives, or maybe they've always been eating something that doesn't agree with them all their lives. Maybe they've got food intolerances that have caused inflammation. Maybe they've got problems with their gut that needed to be sorted out. Maybe they've got some hormones that needed tweaking or a thyroid that needed tweaking. And so sometimes we are what we are, but it can be sorted. But I think each person will have an individual goal of what the healthiest version of them would look like, and that's what we need to shoot for.
Yeah. I just want to quickly
I know
touch.
for myself when I'm down. Oh, I was just going to say, I know for myself, and it's Jo here, that when I get down to that size 12, technically I'm still roughly about probably 6 kilos overweight, but I feel so happy. I just feel so good about myself and I feel at peace, even though I'm just that sort of touch 6 kilos. And I feel like to get under that 6 kilos would just be a massive, massive task for me and the stress of it. So I sort of think it's back to that, just being happy in yourself. And when you know that you're happy and healthy, then I think, just going back to what you've just said, it's okay.
I think that 6 kilo buffer is aesthetic. It's not health related. I think if we were talking 15 kilos, then it's health related as well as being aesthetic. But when you're getting sort of between that last sort of 5-6 kilos, that's really just the difference of a pair of jeans or whether something wobbles when you run around on the netball court. But it's not going to affect the health so much. If we were talking, a bit more than 5-6 kilos, if we were talking, 10, 15, 20 or more, then it's a different conversation that we would have to have, because once you start to look at that difference, then we're talking about parts of the body that can be affected if you don't lose the weight. We're talking about knees. We're talking about strain on the heart. We're talking about, it's a different ball game. We're now talking about health as well as how we look. But that last 6 kilos, sometimes, what I was saying before about the stress and the cortisol, sometimes the things you need to go through to lose that last 6 kilos, if it causes your cortisol to rise, if it stresses you out, then long term you may be affecting the way that your body puts on weight down the track, because high cortisol levels change the way that you process carbs and sugar in the body. They change the amount of insulin that comes out. It changes everything, and it is more likely to add to things like thyroid and weight gain in the future. So if you've got any sort of thyroid issues, if you've got any history of adrenal fatigue, then sometimes the stress will do more harm than good.
Absolutely.
I think we need another podcast on adrenal fatigue, because I really want to learn about that. But oh my goodness, Jules, we could talk to you all day long. But we are nearly out of time. So before we finish off and ask you one very last question, can you please explain where people can find you?
Sure, thank you. They can find me at julesgalloway.com, or you can find me on Instagram and Facebook with definitely no six-pack photos at Jules Galloway Health. And I also have a 12-week program that is called Shiny Healthy You. And so if you want to find out more about that, there's also a page at shinyhealthyyou.com.
Yeah,
awesome. We will put all those details in the show notes. So thank you so much for being here. And our very last question is, if you could give one piece of advice to anyone about this topic, what would it be?
Ooh, only one?
Yeah, anyone.
I think my one piece of advice to you would be that confidence and happiness is more attractive than that tiny little thigh gap every time.
I love that. It so
You
is,
are
isn't
so
it?
good.
It so is. It's so true. I totally agree. So thank
Thank
you.
you, Jules.
Thank you so much for being here. It was awesome. And yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back and talk more in depth about some stuff because that was
Yay.
great.
Thank you so much. It's been fun. Woo!
Yay. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, we love Jules. She's so brilliant. Thanks, guys, for listening. We hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. And yeah, remember, head over to your iTunes account and subscribe to us so you never miss an episode, because next week we are speaking to Naomi Judge and she is going to tell us all about zinc and magnesium, and it is so interesting. So don't miss that, because it really is it'll blow your mind. It was so interesting. So head over to our website, check us out on our blog, find us on Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and all those good things. And until next week, take care, everyone. Bye.